The following is a sports presentation of KULP, the Rice Belt's recognized leader in sports programming.
Hello and welcome to week 2 of Ricebirds. This week I sit down with 4-year letterman and former Ricebirds star athlete John Paul Appling. John Paul was an in for the Ricebirds for 4 years during the 1952 through 55 seasons before graduating in 1956. Mr. Appling has also been going to Ricebird games for over 75 years, and as he tells me, there's been quite a few athletes come through El Campo. Mr. Appling, who inspired you to become a Ricebird?
My father, George, was a Ricebird, and all of my family have been Ricebirds, and that's who inspired me to become a Ricebird.
When did you know that you wanted to play football?
I was very young. I used to go to the football games when I was 2 or 3 years old when the Ricebirds were playing at the St. Philip's football field. And I went there to many games in the early 1940s.
So you got to see a lot of the older generation as well. You said your father was a football player for the Ricebirds?
Yes.
What position did he play?
He played end, and I played end, and my son played in the backfield, and my grandsons played in the backfield, and we all played. Yes,
a good tradition of Applings have come through El Campo and played great quarters of football, you could say. Had a great run there. Is there any stories from your playing days? Maybe something that may make you laugh?
There was one instance when one of my football partners, it was Dobie Craig, and one time we were playing, I think it was against Columbus. He ran a touchdown for 95 yards, which was very, very long. And when he looked back, there was 3 flags on the field, and I had clipped and had to call that touchdown run back, and we laughed about that forever.
Yeah, I heard Mr. Craig was quite an athlete.
He was good. We played together on many sports teams.
Yes, you were a 4-year letterman, correct?
Yes.
And football and other sports as well. Yes.
And track and
quite the athlete,
baseball.
like I mentioned. That's awesome. Anyone in your playing days give you some good advice?
Yes, I had former coaches, Coach Bill Dowden and Coach Jack Burchett. And they inspired me very much, encouraged me to play hard and do the best you can on all varsity levels or any level. Just keep after it.
Yes, sir. It's a good role to have throughout life, basically.
Yes, they were very good coaches, and miss them both.
Yes, sir. I've heard great things about both of those guys. What do you think about the game of football today compared to when you played back in the 50s?
Okay. It's very different now. Players are a whole lot faster and a whole lot bigger, and the game is very technical right now, and it's very, very rough.
Yes,
I think it's rougher now than it ever has been.
Yes, that's totally correct. They're trying to actually dull it down. I know you know that.
Yeah.
It's trying to scaring some people a little bit. What was conditioning like back in the 50s? I know now guys, they report throughout the summer to lift weights, and I know coaches keep up with that. How did y'all
in those days, all we did was run up and down the field and do push-ups and sit-ups and that sort of stuff. There wasn't a whole lot of weightlifting in those days. But, I mean, you can get in pretty good condition with doing that. But in those days, players we didn't get any water at all. They thought that was bad to have water and gave us salt tablets and no water, and that wasn't the thing to do.
We've come a long ways in learning about hydration. So
you got that right.
Well, I know you've been a Ricebird season ticket holder for quite some time. Who might have been your favorite Ricebird football player to watch throughout the years? You've had some good, your son, as you mentioned, and your grandsons. I'm sure those were for sure, definitely good for you to watch. So.
Yeah, and way back there in the 40s, there was Glenn Lippman, Gerald Natardis, Elo Nahavitz, and I watched my son Mark play, and grandsons Dustin and Landon play, and I did watch just recently the Hunt boys and the Brandel boys, and right now I've got a few that I'm watching right now, but I've been at this so long that, I've been going to football games since 1942. That's a lot of years.
That's awesome. Anything y'all did tradition-wise to celebrate victories?
Well, in those days, when we were playing, everybody from the stands could go out in the middle of the field. The whole stand just flooded out there. And then before the games, we used to have a travel train that went through town just getting everybody pumped up.
Awesome.
And then after that, we went to dances.
Yeah, I heard a lot of stories about the dances. Last but not least, is there any advice you'd give to the younger boys out there who are hoping to maybe be a future star of the Ricebirds like you were someday?
I keep doing weightlifting, running, training during the summer months especially, and just like they are doing right now. They've got them doing that, and they keep doing that. The El Campo will always have a good program.
Yes, sir.
And they still do right now.
Well, that wraps up week 2 of Retro Birds. I'd like to thank John Paul Appling for taking some time out of his busy schedule to give me an interview. Be sure to join us during the Ricebirds matchup with the Quail Gobblers to find out which former bird I might catch up with next.